Welcome to the zoning board of November 29th. My name is Marty Akins. I'm the chairman. To my left, the vice chair, Mr. Cabeas. Board members, Mr. O'Brien, Mr. Chin, Mr. Radell, Mr. Frankel, Mr. Himmel. If you have a cell phone or, our clerk, Miss Murphy, the one that does all the work.
Most important.
Most important, yes. If you have a cell phone or a pager, could you please put it on silent or vibrate so you don't interrupt the meeting. If anyone wants to speak, please step outside. If anyone's going to testify tonight, could you please stand up and raise your right hand if you think you might testify.
You also swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, to help you God?
Yep.
Thank you.
Could I have a motion to waive minutes of the last meeting?
I'd like to make a motion that we waive the reading of the minutes of the last hearing, which was on November 5th.
I'm sorry, can you speak up, please?
I make a motion, you come sit a little closer to it. We have a place.
There's a motion on the floor to waive the reading of the last minutes for the last meeting. Is that second?
Second.
On the motion, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. Under old business, case number 16064. I have a letter here. It's under old business. QIONG LIN for a variance finding to change the existing single-family home to a two-family home in the presence of 48 Newton Ave in Quincy. They have a letter here. They'd like to move this till January 10th. Can I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, matter number 16-064, QUIONG LIN for a variance finding to change the existing single-family home to a two-family home on the premises number 48 Newton Avenue. Make a motion to postpone the hearing until January 10th.
Second.
Seconded on the motions. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. I spoke with the council for DYSART Street, and he might not have to be here, so we're going to continue this to the 13th, and he has to go to planning board. So if you're going to come the 13th, call the office and make sure it's going to be on. Could I have a motion to continue that to December 13th, please?
Mr. Chairman, matter number 16-075, 83 DYSART Street LLC, George Wang, manager, for a finding to demolish a pre-existing non-conforming garage used for commercial purposes and replace it with a two-unit residential structure on premises number 83 DYSART Street, Quincy. I make the motion to continue the hearing until December 13th.
Second. On the motion, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you.
Thanks, Council.
Can I just
Yeah.
will that get announced, like sent up to the neighborhood again?
No. No, because the hearing was tonight and it's being continued. So if you show up to the hearing, we let you notice there's a continuance. They might not have to come here, so they might have to go to planning, so.
How about the people who didn't show up in the public hearing? How are they supposed to know?
When they call up to see what happened at the hearing.
And how do you know they're going to call up to see what happened?
Well, if they didn't show up, they're probably not interested.
No, there were several
No,
people
that's
that
not
the
were interested,
question.
but they.
Well, the
they
question
weren't
is, how are they gonna find out? Make a phone call.
No, you notify them, not us.
No, we don't notify.
I'll tell you what,
That's
guys.
not our job.
To cut the
Well, what the hell do you think their job is?
I'll send out a,
That's the law, it's not us personally. Thank you.
Yes?
On the previous matter, 16-064, what is the continuance?
January 10th.
Thank you.
If there's anyone here for 48 Newton Ave, it's gonna be for January 10th. Is anyone here for DYSART Street? It's on for December 13th.
I must inform them that everything's online.
Yeah. Exactly. It is. You come to the hearing. It's cost city thousands and thousands and thousands. Further under old business, case number 16067. QIONG LIN for a variance to construct an addition between the houses 53-57 and consolidate two single-family homes into one two-family home at present 53-57 Fowler Street. Is the applicant heard here?
Yes,
We've heard this case, everyone spoke for and against it. The only thing we had to do was make a decision on whether to approve it or not. And I'll give you my 2 cents. If it wasn't beside where it is, a big commercial piece of property like that, I'd say no. But since it is where it is, you do own 2 lots, personally, I'll be voting yes. Who was on that case? You know, was it all us? Or was-
I know all of them.
All right, so we're right. Mr. Bates, any comments?
No, Mr. Chairman, I'll be in favor too. The same reason, I think I would not like so much of it as another neighborhood, but considering where it is, it'd be nice. Good project.
Jeff Franco was on it.
He's here.
I have my reservations about it, but since there were no objections from the neighbors at all, other than the adjoining tenant, other than asking the question, why would you want to do that? But I guess you have your reason. So I guess I'll be voting in favor.
Mr. Franco, comments?
Seems to be about the same discussion. I don't get it. I don't know why the location makes it so that it's palatable, lack of a better term, but think hard and fast. It's a big, expensive building. I would probably do it a different way, but anyway, I'll vote in favor for it.
That I know about it.
Yeah.
I'm in favor.
What was that?
Again, I don't know why.
Yes. In matter number 16-067, QIONG LIN for a variance to construct an addition between house number 53 and 57 to consolidate two single-family homes into one two-family home on the premises number 53 and 57 Barrowlands Road in Quincy. I make a motion to grant the variance.
Second?
Second.
On the motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you. Thank you. The next case is going to be 52 Mears Ave. I ain't even going to read it. I'm going to recuse myself. I live right across the street from the applicant.
We're at matter number 16-074, SEAN MACKAY for a variance to construct a new attached garage and enclose the front stoop on the premises number 52 Mears Ave, Quincy. Hello there. Oh, thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. My letter describes, so I want to do a single-story attached to.
Just tell us your name and address for the record.
SEAN MACKAY, 52 Mears Ave.
Okay.
Get some sketches here, they're included in the packet, but I'm sorry to bring these in, but I can show the setback. There's a side elevation. Basically, doing a kind of cookie cutter of what they have for the existing house. And this one shows the street elevation. Doesn't really show the setback. It's right, that elevation, but yeah, so.
Now, so the question I have is when you construct this thing, the hill goes
It's about 15 degrees.
15 degrees.
This side elevation drawing actually shows you is a pretty accurate. It's actually completely accurate. The line is not very dark, but using it as a reference point, that there's the grade of the lot. So in the back, you have, I don't know, what, 9 feet?
9 feet?
Yeah, it would have,
9 feet of not building before.
no, it would be windows, or it could be facade, siding, veneer stone, yeah. But I intended to put some windows down.
Anyone have any questions?
You weren't talking, the porch you were talking about, that was just the front porch?
Yeah, my front stoop.
Yeah, yeah,
I
okay.
wrote 4x4.
Yeah,
It's actually 6x5.
It looked big, that's what I was trying to figure out. That's
Yeah,
all I
just
did.
all I want to do is put a little storm shelter around.
Okay.
The question I have is that the only place you're going to park is in front of the garage, in the garage itself?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Where are we parking now?
Right now, there's a small concrete, it's almost like a circular driveway, but it's not, you can't, there's 2 boxwood bushes. So both cars are kind of hanging out onto the sidewalk, and you can't get all the way back. It's directly in front of my house.
Anybody else with any questions? Okay. Have a seat. Anybody want to speak in favor of the project?
Hey, Mr. Chairman. 90 acres, 81 Mears Ave, Quincy. Yeah, Sean's a nice guy, and where he's parking now is totally absurd. It's almost like there's two cars in the winter and it's so much snow. He can't even park his car. So it's a nice addition to the neighborhood. It'll be a nice addition to his home. The only thing I'd like to see is some facade on the other side, so if the neighbor's looking at that 9 or 10-foot wall, there's gonna be something there, whatever he puts on it, so it ain't just cement. Either clapboard, stone, something, right? Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in favor? Once, twice. Do you have any correspondence? Paul, that he would know? Okay, there's no. Anyone want to speak in opposed or undecided? Opposed or undecided? Please step up, state your name, and address for the record.
Good evening, Board. My name is Don Dingle. I'm an attorney for 53 Mears Avenue, which, for the record, is across the street. I'll try to be as brief as I possibly can. I know that the night is late. I'm not sure that 81 Mears Avenue or any of the other houses farther down have the same considerations or concerns my clients do. But members of the board, we are of the position that, of course, the several statutes, the several requirements in the statute have to be met, that they are conjunctive and not disjunctive, and so that we're going to contend that all of, or several of, those requirements in that statute are problematic in terms of the grant of the variance. First, we would allege, we contend that the topography doesn't necessarily make the building of the garage impractical. If you have looked at the property and I have pictures, you can, there is a grade, but you can build a garage if you, for example, were to build some sort of foundation under it to level it out. A lot of what you see on these abutting properties on this street on Mears Ave, they have a driveway that goes down and into the back of the property, and that's where they are parking their cars. I would like to return to that driveway example later on in my presentation, but that it is not impractical, maybe difficult, but not impractical to build a garage elsewhere on the property. We're keeping in mind that the setback requirement, we wouldn't be here if the setback requirement wasn't an issue. We're saying that I think the dimensional requirement is 13 feet. Looks like he wants to do something closer to the in derogation of the 8-foot requirement that you have if you were to have a smaller piece of property, and you would have an exception to that setback requirement. In other words, instead of the 13 feet, I think it's a 10-foot requirement. Seems like he would even be in derogation of that exception. But secondly, the topography of that particular residence is not too terribly different from the abutting residences. So it is substantially similar in that they all slope on that side of the street. I mean, that is to say that there are no circumstances which would make that particular topography solely affected by the structure that Mr. McKay wishes to put up, and that this topography in the entire zoning district generally is just about the same. So his house is not necessarily out of character, if at all, with the other houses on that street as they all slope backwards. His house is certainly not out of character with the two houses that immediately abut his house on the right and left. But most importantly, and I think it seems like the argument is that there's a substantial hardship. Again, I'm reminding the board that this is conjunctive and not disjunctive, but regarding the substantial hardship, we'd assert that there is no deprivation of an economic benefit. It might be more costly for him to erect the garage, but certainly not a complete deprivation of an economic, or put it this way, a deprivation of an economic benefit is not a hardship. You know, so even though it might cost a little more money to erect a garage in back of his house, or to do, you know, come down as the neighbors have done in the area around the house, it might cost a little more, but I don't know that that constitutes a financial or substantial hardship. And also regarding this derogation from the intent or purpose, coming back to my initial point, which was the setback requirements. So my clients are basically arguing, I understand that, you know, they haven't been adjudicated an aggrieved party, but we would argue that they are an aggrieved party because the density, this is a density question, right? So we're looking at, I'm assuming the spirit of the zoning ordinance is that we keep open space, because that's what it says, open space, unobstructed space. So we keep that open space and we don't further create a more dense situation, or what appears to be more dense for lack of open space, by putting up structures to the side. I also assume that part of the spirit of the ordinance is that we sort of preserve the beauty of the street, which for my clients, in addition to a lack of densely seeming street, we have the view.
Council, you said the word that I wanted to use, the word
Yeah.
view. And you know that the zoning laws aren't to protect views.
But we're not protecting view. I'm sorry you were waiting for that word. I hope you weren't waiting for the word, and I hope you're hanging.
I was about to ask you that question. You said it.
But density is the main issue. Of course, if we're talking about an open area, we're also talking about an ability to enjoy what appears to be the beauty of the street, the natural beauty of the street. But granted, there is at least one case that mentions that you know, a certain views can be considered, and maybe that goes towards whether a party is aggrieved or not, and not necessarily part of your undertaking tonight. But when we consider all of that, and just to, in summation, run us through it again, we're talking any one of these things, if it falls, it's a house of cards. They all must, the entire thing must fail. And we're saying that the topography doesn't create an impracticability. We're saying that it doesn't, it's not substantially different from the other houses abutting that, and I have pictures, I'm sure you do, of the street. I want to pass out pictures to the board, just so that those who are familiar with the street, they're each different. I don't have copies for them, I'm sorry. But you can see the slope on the street. Now, interestingly enough, the one area where there is a garage is not in derogation of the spirit of the law, because the setback requirements are met in that particular property. And in fact, I haven't measured it, so I can't say it's 10 feet, but it looks to be at least 10 feet, if not entirely 13 feet from the border of the property. And so it would be in accordance with the side yard ruling. So what I'm saying then is no topography impracticability, no that we have an entire neighborhood so that the zoning district generally is not affected. Everything is substantially similar. They all have slopes going down towards the ocean, and that there is no substantial hardship. And then finally, that the derogation from the intent or purpose of the statute, we think, is clearly met in that you're now not having the open space. You're not having you now have a density problem. The beauty of the view is now convoluted, and although that's not a consideration for you, that is part of the narrative. And
Council, can I ask you a question now?
yes,
You speak about putting the garage in the back of the house.
correct.
How, doesn't that affect density in the neighborhood also? I mean, isn't the density pretty much the same?
I believe I have here.
You're going to have more asphalt because then we have to come around
So,
around
Donna,
the house.
I understand.
And we have a house that's going to be more down the hill, a garage more down the hill than what it is on our plan. I don't know if that's really great to put.
Density is not a question of, density is not affected by placing a structure behind an existing structure on a street. So the question as it relates to density on the street is the appearance as you walk down the street of the street seeming more densely populated. So there is case law, and I thought it was Sedano v. Marks. It might be Sedano v. Marks, but it might be another case, which states that putting something behind is not contributing to the density problem. But not that it just wouldn't contribute to the density problem. I believe the subject property has a place behind it which was relegated as a garage. Now the space, the use of the space, I suspect has changed from that, but the actual use of that space, as I understand it, is a garage. And if you walk up and down the street, other houses on that street, on that side, and with that same topography, have done the same thing. Their houses have garages in the back. So where you see the driveway going down, you'll see a cut around into the back of the garage. That doesn't affect the density of a particular street. We would just ask that, considering your discretion, your wide power of discretion, that you keep in mind that variances should be granted rather sparingly, and that we feel that many of the statutory requirements are not met, though we know, as you do, that only one needs to not be met in order for it to fail. Thank you for your time and consideration. Any questions?
Yeah, any questions?
I'm good.
How long has your client been in that property? How long has your client been in that property?
They've been in that property for close to 30 years, I believe they've told me. Decades.
Do you know if they opposed the project next door? I'm sure that was a newer house.
The project to the
left?
To the left. I don't know if they've opposed that.
Okay.
But again, I offer as argument, and as I stated earlier, that I believe that they didn't need a variance for that. I think it meets the setback requirement.
Inside setback response. Maybe they could.
And I believe it.
I'm sure it doesn't meet the frontage, so.
Oh, the frontage.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a non-conforming.
Yeah, so,
Every
yeah,
lot includes
maybe
non-conforming.
I don't know the answer to whether they objected to that. But as I'm reminded to say then that the exception would not be met. The exception to the setback requirement, if you have a smaller property, smaller than, I forget what the square footage is, but there's an exception, so we'll allow it to be closer to the abutting property line.
No, we don't. Do we have that? An exception rule based on the size of your lot? No, we don't have that in Quincy.
If you look at 1720,
So I'm just walking.
He just stepped out for one moment.
All right. We'll ask him when he.
yeah, you'll have to look at 1720.
I'll look it up.
Okay. So,
I have a question first. If a building is 25 by 25 on the side versus 25 by 25 in the back, your position is that it's different density? I just want to make sure I understand your position.
so yes, the position of density is,
You're defining density based on a view, based on a perception and a feel from the street. Is that what I heard you say?
the case law has said in dicta that density is a feeling that property owners have as they look on their street and see that open space, this is the spirit, I would imagine, this is the spirit, part of the spirit of the setback requirement, to give open space to preserve the character of the neighborhood, so that when other property owners are looking at their street, it doesn't appear as densely populated. Not that some people don't like densely populated areas, but the case law says that that could be a negative, an adverse effect on a property.
So you're, not to cut you off, but I understand your point, but you're aware that there are multiple houses behind the applicant's house as well, correct? And so from their perspective, as they're looking at the back of the applicant's house, they're going to see a dense garage. And wouldn't that necessarily impair or affect their view of what is dense?
No, and I'll tell you why.
So the dicta that I just wanted to sort of the dicta that you're referring to, the case takes a position that the view must only be from the street and not from any other perspective. Is that what you would have us understand?
I wouldn't have you be married to the concept that density can't be other things, but that density is from the street. And so that if you put something in your yard in back of, and you have back requirements as well. We're not saying go all the way back, because that would be a violation of another ordinance.
No, I'm talking about if it's attached to the house.
Right, so behind, right, so behind the house. Now, mind you, there's a garage attached to the house, behind the house right now. It's just not used as a garage. And again, I want to remind you that other houses on the street have garages attached behind the house as well. Okay.
Tool shed.
It may
Because
be
there's no driveway to it.
Well, you can, there was probably once a driveway. I mean, if you look up and down the street, there was a driveway.
Not to belabor the point,
Yeah,
I'd like to
yeah.
ask my second question. If there were to be a garage in the back of the house, that area you said is fairly pitched, fairly sloped, correct? So how long a driveway would you envision would have to be installed here from the street to the back of the house where the driveway would be?
So if you will look at the abutting property, I passed a picture around of a driveway, and it's in the record. So
50 feet, 100 feet to get back there?
I don't think we're talking, what did we say, 25 by 25?
Whatever it is, he has to get from the street, he has to get from the street to the back of the house. And then
Yeah, I don't think we're talking 100 feet. So, but here's an example of someone who's put a driveway all the way back. I mean, that was their own doing. They wanted to do that. But
so if there were a driveway that went down the side of the house on a pitched lot,
as there are on almost every house,
and it's a fairly steep pitch, correct? My concern would be that there would be runoff of water that would just flow down that side driveway, cause flooding in the back, additional water perhaps on their properties, and that runoff
a concern that has
would be a concern to me.
It would be a concern, but a concern that again hasn't borne any fruit, because the properties abutting this property already have that structure. So if
We'd be adding another one with a hard top driveway or what have you.
Properties abutting don't have that right now. The direct abutter to the left has a driveway up to, has a.
or excuse me,
The direct abutter.
this has a driveway.
But the one
direct abutter's garage is right here.
His driveway is right off.
The direct abutter on the other side has a parking lot.
This is a driveway. The house. Is this your picture?
This is a picture submitted by the applicant.
So the house here has a driveway. So their driveways, if you walk up and down,
This is the applicant's.
this is the applicant's house.
So right next door to him, there's a garage at the street level.
And here, what is this structure here though?
I don't know what that
That's
is.
a driveway. And if you look at the house beside it, that's a driveway. Now this gentleman, he erected a parking building. He erected a somewhat of a lot there as opposed to going down. But you don't have much. You have two houses, so you can't see the character and spirit of the street. Well, what I'm saying to you is that there are driveways on those houses as you go up and down the street. And to answer your question as to flooding, we haven't seen flooding yet. And at least with respect to the two properties, or three, directly abutting that property. But I guess, you know, I mean, you're creating, I don't want to say that's a straw man argument, but it appears we're creating a condition that doesn't exist just to see if we can knock it down. What I'm saying is that as you walk up and down the street, the issue of density is in derogation of the spirit of the law. What I'm saying is that it's not a substantial hardship if you have to put a garage in the back. That issue of density is not, now again, somebody can move their entire extended family into their house, and a neighbor might see that as density problem. But in terms of what we're talking about in derogation of the spirit of the law, of the code, density is as you walk up and down the street. And also, I just want to remind you that the garage is there. I mean, there is a garage there. And finally, I'll end where I began. It's not impractical to topographically impossible to build a garage there.
I have one other question. Franklin?
More of a question or a comment. I would be more concerned that Mr. Mears decides to tuck this garage in back and knock the roof off his house and build a 2.5-story McMansion across from your client's property, similar to the one next door. And in fact, he has a modest house, and if he was in compliance with the setback on the right side, that might be more of a density creating problem than you're looking at with this one-story garage. That's just my editorial.
It's a 2-story garage, and which is significant. And it is, again, I don't think that property to the left has a setback requirement violation.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you for your time.
Single-story garage, right?
It's a single story.
Yeah, it's a single story.
Anyone else opposed or undecided? Opposed or undecided once, twice, 3 times, I call that part of the hearing over.
If I can rebut the council's
Well,
remarks.
sure.
First of all, if any of you have ever skied Blue Hill, that's about the grade of my backyard. There's a photograph in here that shows the grade quite clearly. Second of all, I had initially intended to do something behind the house, similar to 64 MEARS Ave, which was the Great Hill House. You can see it in the Google Earth. He's got a big deck in the back with the garage underneath. The math didn't work for my house because I have a small little ranch house. His house goes way back, so he's got 10 feet in the back, I have a garage underneath. I've got about 7 feet, so I just couldn't make the math work. I also blew my knee out last year, and after being left with mobility issues, I didn't want to end up with a big steep long driveway. I also have one of the largest lots in the neighborhood with one of the smallest houses. I think it's the smallest house. And in regards to density, there's no other structure within over 100 feet of this proposed building. In regards to my house was built as a cookie cutter ranch in 1956. It has a 1-car garage under it. Was built that way. That was bricked off. I actually have photographs of the building permits from 1958 when I bricked off. But the photographs show that the guy at one time had somehow to get back there. It'd be impossible to drive a vehicle down there, and it's bricked off. The building, the structure in the back is a 12 by 16 It's very shed. That's an open door.
One question just to clarify what you said. Discrepancy. You've asked for a 1-story garage. Council seems to be inferring it's a 2-story garage.
The structure will be built with a basement, or at least a partial basement. But that's just because of the elevation of the lot. It'll be the same elevation as my home.
Same roof line, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Same.
Thank you.
May I have a second rebuttal?
Sure. The vice chair says sure.
Very brief. It's also, I misspoke when I said story. I meant car, which further elucidates my point that we are closer to, we're in further derogation of the ordinance by being closer to the other structures. There's no structure, but there is, you can see that parking lot is an elevated parking lot. And it isn't so much that you have to have a structure there as much as it is that you are now, the ordinance says open and unobstructed space. It doesn't say open and unobstructed space unless there is no structure. It says open and unobstructed space. And so I just remind the board of that.
Thank you. Well, I'll tell the board members what I think this is a pretty decent kind of project, and I understand the neighbors aren't going to be happy. I understand too that throughout this city, there are some beautiful ocean views that do get blocked. We don't own the views, and the ordinance is not going to allow us to consider the views of the other neighbors, and I'm sorry about that. But this is an issue that comes up to us quite often. I'm going to be voting in favor of it on one condition, on the condition that you don't have a big brick of a cement wall facing the neighbors behind you. And so that's what I would like to see anyway. I'm just, one person on the board. Mr. O'Brien.
Yeah, my comment on this is that if you're worried about density, you shouldn't live in the neck. Because the neck is dense from the beginning to the end. That's how it was built. That's how it's existed for whatever years. The houses now are catching up to modern technology. The summer homes and shacks and other stuff that was down there is gone. I don't see the 8-foot difference in the two-car garage from the 10-foot setback as an intrusion. But again, if you're looking for density, the neck is not the place. If you're looking for less density, the neck is not the place to be. That's it.
I think that between the two choices of building in the back versus building in the side makes much more sense. With our winters here, I mean, building in the back would make it almost impossible to get up that driveway without a major snow track, four-wheel drive, or what have you. I was going to suggest hardy plank for the siding because I know the members of the board like hardy plank. That doesn't have to be in the way.
This is a suggestion. Mr. Randall.
In favor.
Frank.
I think it's a modest project. I think it is a detriment to have to build it downhill based upon winter considerations, the slope, driveway, water. Just the ones that come to mind. I think they
Mr. O'Brien.
Ready?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to grant the, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself here. Regarding case number 16-074, Sean McKay for a variance to construct a new attached garage and enclose a front stoop on the premises number 52 Mears Ave, Quincy. I'd like to make a motion to grant the variance, subject to the idea that some sort of material will be used to cover the concrete portion of it.
Yeah, that will be discussed by the building inspector. We'll see to that.
Yes, well, would you, yes, Mr. Chairman.
What we would like to be able to do is make sure it's something paint is on that back wall.
On the,
Is there any way for you to?
on the building?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to give me some parameters, we'll make sure that that happens. Whatever we
Yeah.
No exposed concrete, is that right?
What's that?
No exposed concrete.
On the building.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
fair. Yeah.
Well, on the motion seeing, second. Wait a second. Second. Motion seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Good night.
Thank you very much.
We're going to call for a 3-minute break in the action. We got the chairperson back up. Back at 8 o'clock.
Thank you.
told you it was off, right?
I knew
Okay.
it was gonna get continued, I
Okay.
just didn't know, I didn't know. I know what the man.
Yeah, no, when I saw you there, I wanted to make sure.
I wanted to, so I'll just bring my stuff.
Sorry.
I tried to get your attention
I
too when you came in.
That's fine.
Call before the, what's that, on the 10th? January 10th?
So there'll be no notification that
They will not. No, we don't re-notify unless it's withdrawn.
Curb cut and extended driveway that comes to 70 Fennel Street. Is the applicant representative here?
Yes. Hello,
Name and address for the record, please.
70 Funnel Street.
What's your name?
My name is Richard Tan. I'm a husband of Quincy is a husband.
Richard, you have the floor. Tell us what you want to do.
Yeah, so most important is the safety issue. So every time on the corner of my house, right? So the car will keep coming on. So when I do the backing up, it's very hard to see the car come by. And most of the time we call like accident. My neighbor, like 78 and 98, they almost get accident. 98 already got one-time accident, so backing up car. So why not? They want to do that, but they don't have the the land to do it. For me, I can have a second car, so my car can go around here and then come back here. So that way out. So more.
But if you have a curb cut and you go into your two-car garage,
Yeah.
why do you need the front of your house paved?
Huh?
Why do you need the front of the house paved?
Oh, because especially most important is I backing up the car. I cannot turn the car on once you get in. So once you're backing up, so the car comes this side and then like a T, right? So the car coming on is very unsafety when I'm doing backing up. I cannot see the car coming in. So this is a support letter from my neighbor. So I'm doing the curb cut right here. So the car can go inside here, and after that we can go out from here. So I still have a
You have parking on the other side.
Yeah,
You're parking here.
yeah. So that's why.
Right.
So, but
But you get parking here and parking there. Why do you want to put all the tar in front of your house?
not all of them, just extend it.
Yeah.
Because
It's
the
tar.
reason,
Right now, it's a walk.
yeah.
Right.
So make it wider. The reason why, because once I got the car coming here, so I can go the car here and then go out.
I
So
know
it's
what you
more
want,
safety.
but if you had this to pull in and out, you would have room to pull on your side of the street, right?
Once I have this one, I don't have any room. So this reason why I have a car here and go around here, so it's more safety. And then, to be honest, here I still have I have a
It's
green
not
space
positive,
here,
but I think the
green
one
space
space is
here.
supposed to back in your driveway anyway. Pull all front.
So this backing up is very dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions?
So just from here and then.
Any questions
Was there an existing curb cut there before?
on the garage?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
So there's just been no access to the garage?
It is yes, was a curb cut before, but later on we changed here. So be honest, if safety, because I don't
No,
want.
no, I understand that, but where was the garage built here?
Yeah, it was a curb cut, but later on we changed it here because.
Oh, so you had this, so the city filled this in?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So the reason why, because,
No, I get to say, I know the corner well,
Yeah.
it's the dangerous corner.
because I just, honestly, to me, if okay, I don't want to spend that much money to do a cut.
No.
And then I got a kid, so.
If I had a kid driving around there, I wouldn't want to come out of there, I wouldn't want to back out, I
Yeah,
understand.
when to get trouble, and then the kid yelling, and then somehow just.
Right. That's to get in. That's what it's got.
Yeah, and I can show you all the picture here. So once you get out here, backing up, something very hard to see, especially when the morning I take my kid to the daycare or school. So everybody wants to go to work. So once you're backing up, just really hard to prevent.
How many cars in that house?
Mine?
Yeah.
Mine not only one.
Any questions? Any questions? Radell, any questions?
No, not this time.
Thank you. Is there anyone that wants to speak in favor? Speak in favor.
I'd like to speak in favor. Gentlemen and young lady, the procedure is...
Name and address?
Oh, it's Tom Roach. I also live on Fennel Street, 322. I'm at the other end, but because I do travel Fennel Street 3 or 4 times a day, I'm well aware of how unsafe the corner is, and I trust you all know the corner we're talking about. Where Fennel Street turns,
going up to the tennis court and the basketball court as it intersects with Williston Ave. Extremely tight. I won't say it's dangerous, but I think the proposal here for safety and also for the circular driveway makes all the sense in the world.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Anyone else want to speak in favor? Second call, third call, closed.
Those in favor that you just gave me, I have them too. You just said.
Those letters in the record. Sarah Kennedy. The letter here from the DPW, we reviewed the above referenced project and have no comments. Is there anyone opposed or undecided? First call, second call.
Opposed or undecided?
Yeah.
Did you have a comment?
Are you opposed or undecided about putting more tar in his yard?
This is good.
Are you in favor? Is this yours? No. You want to speak?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, these folks, English is not that great. They were in my office. They have an issue. They're trying to have their own property surveyed. They live right next door to the applicant. For some reason, the applicant is not allowing their surveyor to go a couple of feet on their property to complete a survey, a boundary survey. So they're concerned, and they would like to have their boundary survey completed. They're here not so much opposed to it, but they'd like to be able to get their property boundary completed by their surveyor, which is going to involve their surveyor to go on maybe 4 feet or so to get equipment and finish that part of the survey. So that's what they're concerned with.
Thank you, Mr. Duca. Is there anyone else opposed or undecided? Second call, third call. I'll let part of you close. Can you step up here, please?
Yes.
The guy who wanted to have his, and the lady wanted to have their property surveyed, and you wouldn't allow them on the property?
The reason why, because they ask in very bad manner, because once we do the fence,
All right. Are you gonna let them do it?
if they ask politely, don't yell at me, don't just say, that's property belong to them. Because once they do the fence, we just follow right to yell at me.
Okay.
And then, I mean, by no reason. But if they ask politely, in manner, good manner, I think anybody can do that, Jay, right? And Jay is a very helpful person too, you know?
All right, thank you. It's time to make a decision. Can we put this to the 7:15? Let him get his survey, and then we'll make a decision.
Yep.
Have a motion, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, in matter number 16-076, Hung Ku Shin for a variance to create a second curb cut and extend the driveway on the premises numbered 70 Fennel Street, Quincy. I make the motion to accept the 13th. 13th of December.
Second?
Second.
On the motion, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. We're gonna postpone this to December 13th.
Okay.
So they get their land surveyed, and then we'll make our decision.
Okay.
All right? I'll see you the 13th.
Okay. So,
You can get your property surveyed by your neighbor, and then we'll come back and make a decision.
quick question.
Yeah?
So what's the link to without the curb cut and then the survey? It's nothing to do with the
To make sure the lot lines are correct.
Yeah. Right? I mean, it's not linked together.
Huh?
I mean, it's not linked together.
No, it is together
It's
to
a
me.
survey.
It is. When someone asks to survey their property, and you don't allow them as a neighbor, that don't make a good neighbor.
Also need to make sure that lot line is correct based upon the distance you said.
He wants to make sure that your plans are correct, his plans are correct for his property and everything else. So,
Okay.
we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'll agree that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Somehow, not me, not because me not allowed, because someone went that manner.
I wasn't there, I don't know.
Yeah, so that's why I explained to
It
you.
just brings up questions for us, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, if that lot was wrong, for any reason, even if it's a foot off and we approve something, it could come back on us, so it's,
Okay.
we're just trying to find out that the lot's okay.
Okay.
Let them get their survey and we'll go right from there.
April they sent them this?
Hopefully these are billable hours, gentlemen. Welcome to our Tuesday night.
You got a minute?
Tune in 2 weeks, we'll be back.
This letter was sent to you in April, and then you sent the letter the 10th of April back, and no one can go on the property. Correct? So if you don't let him on the property, I suggest you call the police. I think he has a right, they have a right by law to survey property.
But he said that if we go
Okay,
there,
and
they will
what I would do
call
is I would
police.
call the police.
Just make it simple, just ask the manner.
Well, I think,
Don't try to push anybody to come into my house by locking the door from home at late night, scare my kid.
no, you got a letter, and then you wrote the letter back 3 days later that no one will come on my property.
Yeah,
All right, you guys figure it out, I guess.
okay.
Next.
So can I call you this?
Well, like a Judge Judy.
Go right away, because he's coming back.
Come on, Judge Judy. Joe Brown.
Further under tonight's agenda, case number 16077. MG2 Group for variance to install 19 banners on the premise 1515 Hancock Street. Is the applicant and their representative here?
You be nice to your neighbors.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if you guys have, this is just the original letter that we sent, and it's also the shop drawings that we're proposing.
Yeah, it's all in the back.
Do you have the new, I don't think you have the shop drawings that I have those. It's more just the measurements. So we've got the renderings, but these are actual.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And they're rendering.
Anybody else wants to take a look?
The kids are saying, bye, Mr. Crazy.
To who?
The only thing you might not have is this is the R certificate of appropriate.
Unbelievable.
Right.
By Mr. Grace.
I'll try to be easier.
Isn't that how you normally greeted mine?
Talk to your neighbor.
All right.
Do you have the floor, name and address for the record, please?
Chris Sweeter, 11 Charles Street, Charlestown. I'm with Advanced Realty Management, the property management group with MG2.
Tim O'Brien, 8 Tallrico Lane Co-Asset with the Alaris Construction Group, part of MG2.
What do you guys want to do?
You have the floor.
So we're proposing to get a variance for these banners, as you can see in the renderings. They're one part of a multi-faceted facade restoration project that we're undergoing at 1550 Hancock Street. So this is a follow-up to our historical commission meeting at 9/26, where we presented these plans and got the certificate that I just handed out. Basically, we're looking to get a variance for these banners, given that they're going against the sign ordinance for the city of Quincy. We summed it up in the letter. Essentially, we're looking to create some character and an identity for the property. We're rebranding it, as you can see, to Hancock Center. We're doing multiple facade repairs, crack repair, waterproofing. We're adding sign belts for the retail spaces. We're adding gooseneck lighting on the first floor retail, as well as uplighting to kind of highlight the architecture and the molding. And we're also going to be doing a repainting of the facade, as well as adding some awnings.
So as you can see, this is basically just your a general rendering of where the locations of the proposed banners are going to be. You know, the goal for us here is not only to add a brand to the building, and we're really looking to beautify the streetscape. We're looking to kind of upbrand the building, and also it's going to be wayfinding for the building. If you look at those pictures from the street facades, there really were 3 buildings unified into one. If you're not familiar with the property, you don't know where it might be ending and beginning. So essentially, we're unifying the building with these banners, and that's you know.
While you're keeping the same distinction of the architecture of the building.
We're not even touching the architecture, right? Yeah. Yep. Yep. And part of it is, you know, we're with this Art Deco, we're going to be cleaning up the Art Deco facade. We're going to be doing some uplighting, bringing this old clock back online. You know, it's basically just to kind of keep the beauty of the buildings, but also unifying and kind of giving this is the best use for the building. This is, you know, when you're walking on Ross Way, you wouldn't be able to tell that that's the same building. Really, it's 3, 4 different facades. You know, the old Remix building kind of combined, with the building next to it. You know, you've got these distinct architectural bands that we're going to be keeping with this highlighted paint. We're going to continue this new paint. We've already repainted this whole facade, and we're going to basically just be continuing along the end of Hancock and wrapping it around Cliven Street, and really just kind of upselling the retail space. So it's better just from a walking standpoint, foot traffic standpoint, and the use of the banners coming out perpendicular is kind of to attract the view from foot traffic in the area.
My question is, why do you have so many? I mean, they're like
so we actually,
every 20 feet.
We actually took off 6 at the behest of the Historical Commission, which I actually was in agreement from. We actually kind of watered it down, and relative, I think in total 19. It sounds like a lot, but I think relative to the length of street, we're actually spacing out. So I think along Hancock Street, which is our main elevation, there's 6 in total, just 2 on this, 4 on this. So we think given that you have the trees and in full bloom, it's kind of, you might miss them if you're only going to do a couple on each facade. And I think because of the multiple facades that we're trying to accomplish unifying, it just calls to have at least we're trying to keep it spaced out. We're trying to find that balance.
The question is, again, what's the distance of these and how many? I mean, they're like every room has a banner. If you look, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like, why do you need all this, really? I mean, I don't like signage, number one, personally. I'm not a person that likes signs everywhere. We got 4-inch poles. We're sticking out 36 inches or so. You got a 20-inch banner by 80 inches. It's
8 feet from tip to tip. And it was several rounds of going back and forth with Embark, our architectural studio, and just finding that a balance that would, if it was a 1-story building, I think, or 2-story even, I think 8 feet's a little bit overkill. But given that it's 4 stories, it's really.
There could be 2. With the 6, there could be 3. It's almost overwhelming. It really is. It's like looking at this 2, 4, 6, 8 on one side.
That's the side nobody sees.
5, 2, 4, 6.
We kept it to 6 on Hancock, which we feel is the high priority facade in terms of Quincy Center. Really just 2 on one building and 4 on another. And I think the spacing's pretty even given the architectural columns and the nature of the facades. And there's only a certain really, unless you want to, the effort was to not make it look jumbled and maybe just one here, one there. We wanted to create a kind of just an even flow.
I know we want to create it, but it's just signage. It's just a lot of signage. It really is to me. It's just a lot.
But if you notice at the front and back, we're only the name of the building is only on every other one facing. So as you're looking down, the way we've designed it is that one side of the banner is going to say Hancock Center, and the banner behind it is just going to be that design on the back of it. So essentially, kind of blends in, and really only every other one from one direction is going to appear to show
you. Think a black sign is going to blend in with that color building?
I think it blends in with the column lines, just the lines of those elevations.
I don't have any further questions.
You can't walk in between these buildings, they're still separate buildings.
You can walk in between them in the interior atrium. So for instance, if there's a main entrance on Hancock Street, which we're actually going to be putting a new main sign, and in that atrium that kind of rises up, you actually walk through and make it out to Cliven Street. So there's a side entrance there. And by way of interior hallways, you can actually make your way out to Ross Way. So, you know, if you found yourself exiting any one of these and you're turning around, I mean, our goal is to kind of make it appear to be one unified building from wherever you're standing around.
But it is kind of one unified building.
It is. It's connected inside. Yes.
That's the only question I have.
What's your percentage of occupancy right now?
We're at 52%.
All commercial?
Yes.
That's
Some retail. Yeah, some retail on the first floor.
The material of the signs going, the retail signs, are they the same material as these?
You mean these right here?
Yeah.
These are actually they're not. So these are that sunbrella waterproof material. It's kind of like almost like a mesh cloth, like really light material. These sign banners are actually hard. They're like a steel frame, and I'm not exactly sure. I think it's like a plastic, but it's a hard backing sign backing that we're going to mount retail signs above that in a uniform size type frame.
And the light's going to be facing down on those signs.
You're going to have goosenecks, kind of 2 goosenecks per sign, basically.
No fluorescent lights.
What's that?
No fluorescent lights.
Is it all white name? Each name will be in white as well, like where
yes,
where it says
yeah.
tenant?
So it's I don't have any pictures of it. We have a couple existing, if you were familiar with the property, but it's essentially going to be. The only difference would be if it was a brand name retail store, like we have Quincy Juicery. It's the same size and type, but it's their brand color, for instance. And we have Goodfellas Barbershop. They have one essentially. But it's within the same, because it's actually an architectural design behind this. Is just like it just looks like that underneath.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're kind of just infilling it with a building.
Any other questions?
Not at this time.
No. Mr. Duca?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just had a couple of questions on when we went to the Historic Commission.
Yes.
The theme of all these signs, so you're saying that every tenant could have a different altogether theme or color or brand?
Well, it's not every tenant, really. We're keeping it to the retail locations, and that's really the goal here. I mean, you know. But
So in other words, the barber shop, they could
question.
have a bloodletting logo.
They're all going to be black, like
Yeah,
the
That's
shows?
correct. Yeah. So there's 3 up there. There's Goodfellas, there's the Mass School of Barbering, and then there's Quincy Juicery, and they're all black backgrounds mounted right in the same shape. And Goodfellas and Mass Barbering are white lettering. There's a little bit of kind of the design based on their brand.
I got that.
Same with Quench. There's a little bit of coloring in there, but it's going to be. Everything is landlord approval. We're not just giving the tenants the right to put whatever they want up there. They're not going to have any lighting. They're not going to have anything extending. It's going to be flat, mounted, and preferably by our sign company.
I asked a question just so the board, I would ask the board to consider that if this does get approved, there'd be a condition that all of these signs have to be well maintained at all times on the variance and void. Also, any one sign that's being replaced has to follow. I would ask you to consider a condition that they have to follow a certain theme so that we don't get a building with, all kinds of different signs on it. It's good to hear that the landlord has to approve it all, but we just want to make sure. I would also ask you to consider that any changes to one sign or that it goes back to historic to make sure it fits in within that theme. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duca. Yeah. Is there anyone that wants to speak in favor? First call, second call. Third call closed, correspondence. And a letter here from the DPW, we have reviewed the above referenced project and have no comments. Is there anyone opposed or undecided? First call, second call.
I'm going to just make a quick comment. John Rutherford, 14 Tressland Way. That's actually in Ward 5-1. We're there. We were just talking. I just thought we said a minute ago they were all going to be the same sign. But I just thought the banners. It just sounds to me like it's a little bit like we don't know what it's going to be. I remember listening about the school, or next to the school, like where the hotel is, they gave him a hard time about what he's going to put on that sign. So to give them the right to do 19 signs, they could come back. There's nothing wrong if you guys want to come back and give them 19 separate variances for each different sign so we know what's going up. I mean, we have time. We're here twice every month. And we really don't know what's going on. I'm concerned that it might say, like I was asking them before, that might say Marlboros or it might say guns. I don't want any billboards in Quincy Center. We want to make it a really nice place. It is a transitional assistance place. I was maybe thinking, well, maybe that's good so they can figure out where the building is. It is very confusing, like which building is which building. So, but I'd say right now, I'd say continuing would be a good prudent point. Since this is Ward 5, I was actually looking, I wasn't sure which ward this was. But figuring, give them an opportunity to come back and give a little bit better idea of what's going on. So it's kind of one of them things where if they'd asked for fewer signs, you could see it, but even Chairman Akins thought 19 was a bit excessive. Thank you very much. Okay, clarify one
Is there anyone else opposed or undecided? Second call, third call. Call the part hearing closed. Yes, go ahead. You can speak.
Just so we're clear, the 19 are all the same.
Yeah.
The banners are all the same. We were just, because it got, the conversation moved to the retail storefront signs, and like any store in Quincy, they're going to have a business name on it. The actual banners, there's no changes. It's not 19 different ones. It's either the Hancock Center or the drawing. Just wanted to clarify that.
Well, I mean, my main point was just that there really is any good cohesive sign thing. This is almost one of the first things to start. So, I mean, it's, you know what I mean? Maybe we can make a policy that other people can do, but right now, 19 is a lot.
Thoughts, Mr. Bates?
Well, I am not opposed to the banners. What I'm worried about is the retail signs. I was worried about them before, but now I am. Because I thought it was kind of a classy thing to have. And in a lot of towns this happen, you know. You could get, the CVS in Martha's Vineyard to look different. But you know what I'm saying? It's different styles that fit the neighborhood.
We do the same thing with certain businesses at other locations.
But I also know that there might be pressure on a landlord if they weren't building these retail spaces and someone wanted to come in with, red, white, and blue flashing lights. It's economic times are tough, you might take that guy. And that's
not what we're approving.
Yeah, we get up.
But you have to come back for that.
Right.
Well, I guess they would, but I like the idea of the uniformity.
And if I may, part of our leases with all of our tenants strictly says that they're going to put their signage up. It's landlord approval, but it's also on them to go and get it approved by the city. And so it's almost 2 layers of approval. And we're with you. We don't want that either at the building. And again, it's there's really only 5 or 6 retail spots that would actually have signs, so we're not talking 19 retail signs, we're talking maybe 5, 6 signs. And again, it would be landlord approval to make sure the style's going along the building's facade, but also they would have to get approved for the city of Quincy as well.
Thank you. Comments with them?
No, I don't. The fact that the Historic Commission has already reduced it, I think the banners adds a continuity, kind of a very interesting building design that they've attached these buildings over the years.
I agree with what Mr. Hillman just said. I also agree with what Mr. Corvea said. It was really nice with his Art Deco theme that all these signs were exactly the same, the black and the white, without this one having color, but that's not what we're here for. It's just my night for editorializing. Yeah, I'm fine with the signs. They can't be changed, except to repair them, replace them with the same that were there. I'm okay with it.
I'm in favor of it. I think that if we want to have the conversation about the tenants, the city council did a rezoning of Quincy Center, and they could have absolutely put in, you know, conformity among signs as part of the, you know, a part of what they wanted in downtown, and they didn't.
Okay, have a motion, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Dash 077, NV2 Group for variance to install 19 banners on the premises numbered 1515 Hancock Street. Make a motion to grant the variance with the following conditions: that the signs will be maintained and that the materials of the banners will be the same. Anything else that we have?
No, just the maintenance. Any new sign,
New sign.
one new sign's going up, they'll make sure it's the same exact sign. They gotta come back here.
Yeah, they'll be the same style.
Right.
Yeah, anything non-existing, right, that will, like if.
Any change.
Any change, yeah.
Any change has to come back in. If they change that sign, it has to come back in. We'll put it in.
Okay.
Sign the banner, right? You
Yeah.
change the banner, you change anything, change the deck a little bit, you gotta come back in.
Change your mind.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye.
Congratulations.
All set.
And make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded?
Aye.
Motion, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, gentlemen.